Welcome to your January edition of Cardano360, your monthly show where we meet some of the people building out this incredible ecosystem. Now, before we start, remember to click like, subscribe and hit the bell to get all the latest videos as they come. Now, later in the show, we'll be catching up with Emurgo and with dcSpark and with a few of the projects building on Cardano. But before we get into that, let's start off with our regular monthly development update. So Nigel, Kevin, John, thanks very much for joining us again on Cardano360. John, let's start with you. A very busy few weeks on the network, and particularly last week with the launch of a major DEX project on Cardano. Perhaps you can tell us a little bit about what happened and what to expect.
Absolutely, Tim. Thanks. So having Sunday launch was really a milestone to see such a large exchange bringing so much liquidity and so much excitement to the network. Of course, as people will be aware, especially the thousands of people who were excited to use it, things were very busy. I suppose no different to the excitement around any other product launch, just like the iPhone. People are standing a little bit in line waiting for it. So I'd like to maybe look at some of the things, some of the factors that played into the overall UX or user experience there. As I mentioned kind of before, I think when I've been talking to you guys on the program, I think it's really important that folks have a great user experience. That's got to come straight after security, stability, robustness. Straight after that, from my point of view, UX is primary. Because if people don't have a great time using a product, they're not going to continue to use it. So UX is something that I spend a lot of time focusing on. So it was busy. Why was it busy? So let's look at the first pillar, the core network. So I've spoken before about the core network and some of its facets. I've spoken as well about the fact that we have this 5-second propagation window in which to get blocks across the network. We also have a certain block size, which means that there's per block, which is every 20 seconds. We have so many transactions that can fit in that. There's a finite number, and we have so many scripts that can fit in it. Now, scripts are the smart contracts on the Cardano platform, and with a DeFi marketplace like SundaySwap, they make heavy use of scripts. So currently, a block will hold approximately 4 scripts at one time, and then the rest of the block will be regular ADA transactions, which are just money that's being moved rather than invocation of scripts or execution of scripts. So the reason it was so busy on the launch was we had all of these users all excited to get their swaps out there, and the core network spent its time processing as many of these scripts as possible. Now, a script, the way SundaySwap have architected their solution, it's not a single script for a swap. In fact, right now, a single script, a single Cardano smart contract, actually performs a swap on about 4 transactions. So you can have 4 users of a SundaySwap satisfied by the execution of a single script, which means when we scale it out in a single block, we were kind of processing about 16 swaps for SundaySwap. Now, of course, 16 is a reasonable number, but the excitement was such that there was hundreds and thousands of orders. So therefore, a backlog started to grow, and we had a little bit of back pressure, folks that were waiting to get their swaps executed. So I appreciate we can do better than this. So what are we going to do in order to make sure that the layer 1 of the network can execute more SundaySwap scripts, and indeed, forgetting about looking at Sunday specifically, agnostically looking at the entire DeFi suite of products that are out there, we want the throughput to be good for all dApps out there. So in order to do that, we're looking at the following things. And I've mentioned some of these before, but just to remind viewers, I think it's worth calling them out. Number 1 is increasing the block size. And we're going to be doing that in the very short term. I suspect in Q1, we'll have another increase to the block size. I'll confirm on the program when I've got more clarity on exactly when that's going to happen. But increasing the block size will directly allow more scripts to be executed in a block, and therefore directly increasing throughput on L1, both for regular users of the Cardano network who are sending ADA and for DeFi users. And additionally, for Plutus, we're increasing the resource limits that are available to scripts. So that's how much memory a Plutus script can employ and use when it's executing, and indeed how much computational resource, how much CPU time, how much computer time it can take up in doing things. And when these limits grow, we can increase the efficacy of a script. So therefore, rather than having a script execute 4 swaps per script, we can now have that same single script actually settle or execute maybe 8 to 10 swaps. So as you can see, that throughput really grows as we increase both the block size and the Plutus resources. We have already made changes to the block size, and we've made changes to the resources that are available in Plutus. Not only once, but 2 days ago on Tuesday, we made an additional increase to the Plutus limits. And we will be doing so again throughout the year. So, as I mentioned in previous videos on the core network, just to close this point off, because this is only one of three things I want to talk about, the core network is going to scale this year. We're focusing on giving ourselves headroom of block propagation by increasing efficiency. We increase efficiency by rolling out changes like pipelining and input endorsers. And those changes that increase efficiency then allow us to spend that extra time we've gained on increasing block size, pushing layer 1 so it has maximum possible speed, and indeed increasing the resources that are available to the smart contracts on the platform. And when you roll all of this together, what you have is layer 1 in Cardano becoming the most competitive, the best performing network in the DeFi space. And that's my goal for 2022.
So, John, the user experience will continue to improve, and it's very clear, there were frustrations out there. We need to acknowledge those at this very early stage.
Sure.
They will continue to improve, but fundamentally, we're happy with the network performance in terms of security and resilience. I understand no serious issues there.
Absolutely. So I appreciate that there's things we can do better in terms of overall wait times for users, and we're focused on that. But in terms of the fundamentals of the security of the network, the stability of the network, okay, and when I say that, I mean how secure are your funds? Can you be confident when you're using the platform? Is the platform up all the time at 100% utilization, running where every block is full? Those characteristics were perfect. With that viewpoint of security and stability, we were delighted with how it performed, in fact. But we will increase throughput so that the user experience is better overall. Maybe I could also then move away from the core network for a second, talk about two other areas where I think dApps in general will get a better UX for end users. So the first is with the dApp itself, whether it's the SundaySwap platform or otherwise. Of course, Sunday themselves will acknowledge that this rollout was a beta release, okay? A relatively mature beta, but still nonetheless a beta release. So they're going to be making changes to how their platform processes transactions, selects the transactions from various pools in order to settle them. At the moment, they have a sophisticated scheduling mechanism that chooses which swaps to settle on a fair basis. But of course, they can tweak that. I think an area where they might want to look at is, prioritizing cancellations, because I think some users were waiting for cancellations to go through and stuff like that. But these guys are smart, they're aware of this stuff, and they'll make it better as time goes on, like any software product. The final thing I'd like to address is maybe the wallet experience, because the core network can be great, and the dApp can be great. The third pillar is the wallets, and I have to say, those guys did a great job. There are lots of players out there, but maybe I can quickly name out Nami, CC, Blockfrost. These folks are working tirelessly to give a good user experience to their end users. And I've no doubt it was stressful times over at HQ for those guys too. I think we can probably work together over time to increase the efficiency of these wallets. These guys are experiencing growth just like we are. And their backends are architected to be as efficient, as performant as possible. But of course, just like with the core network, they need time to grow their backend, to grow their stack. And I'm sure that's something that they're going to be looking at too, as they adjust to this new demand that's out there.
Thank you, John. So, Kevin, we talked recently about the release of the 1.33 node, which was sort of a prerequisite for any increased activity on DeFi. How is that looking so far? How has that gone?
Oh, we're very pleased with what we've seen, Tim. So 133 was the prerequisite for rolling out increases in the parameter changes that John's been mentioning. We've been able to roll out one or two changes ahead of the SundaySwap launch. But the information we're getting back from monitoring the node on mainnet, looking at the what's happening with the 100% utilization situation that we're in, shows that we have more headroom there. Going forward, we're going to be bumping the parameters further. So this is not the end of the journey. We do have additional capacity there. 100% utilization is the new normal. What we'll be doing is to increase the parameters, taking advantage of the headroom that we've now built in 133 to enable greater capacity on the chain. So what 133 does, for the benefit of those who haven't been following along, is it smooths out some of the performance bumps in the system. We've been working on this in the background, the node team, the ledger team, working hard on this. We've had 2 or 3 takes at it over the last 9 months or so it's been quite a time coming. What it does is to reduce the load at certain points in the cycle, so particularly at the 48-hour mark, also at the epoch boundary. There are a few more things we need to do going forwards. That will again let us get even more performance out of the node system. And I'd like to call out to the networking and benchmarking team. Without them, we wouldn't have the information that we've had that would give us the confidence to roll out these performance improvements. So where we are now, we can roll out further increases in some of the Plutus parameters, which will let DeFi apps like Sunday process more throughput per transaction. But also what we'll be looking to do is to increase the block size, and that will allow us to process more transactions in a given amount of time. And all of this will dramatically improve the user experience in the coming months and over the next year.
So, Kevin, just touching also on Node 1.33, I understand we've released a Daedalus Flight version recently on that. What are people seeing there?
The Daedalus Flight versioning, it includes Node version 1.33, but also, very importantly, includes some tweaks to various memory settings and parameters that we've been benchmarking recently. So what this means to normal users is that we will put a lid on the total memory that is used by the Daedalus wallet. The parameter settings, these are just the start of a series of improvements that we're looking at. We'll tell you more about those going forwards into 2022, but we've got some serious changes in the works that will make a big difference to the total memory utilization for Daedalus users in particular.
Thank you, Kevin. So, Nigel, on the mid-month update, we outlined the 11 ways that we're going to be scaling Cardano in 2022. You're obviously head of delivery. Your job is to deliver this and to sort of put some flesh on the bones of the plan. Tell us a little bit more about what's going to be happening during the course of this year. I understand 3 significant updates during the course of this year. How are things looking?
It's going well, Tim. I think it's worthwhile pointing out that it's the whole team's come together on this. This is a big effort. We've got a large amount of deliveries that are going to happen, 28 projects at the last count, multiple different deliveries going into production over the course of 2022. There's a large number of teams that have come together to organise the scope, but at the same time, these guys are delivering on a daily basis, which, as we've just heard from John and Kevin, we've already knocked out a number of different updates to the network, and also support for the different dApps out into the community right now. So how do we go about doing it? Well, it's a large program of work. We have to organise it in different layers. So we have a layer in terms of the fundamental core technology, which is all about networking efficiency and performance this year, looking to provide more optimizations. We then layer on it our Plutus work, script optimizations, building out more tool sets and the rest of it. And we've got multiple products as well, wallets and services, Daedalus, as you know, other kind of tools that developers use to be able to build their dApps. And then on top of that, even more new products coming into the Cardano space over the course of this year, whether that's the Light Wallet or the dApp store. So there's lots of things going on. Now, we've put together a whole map and a plan for this year across all the teams. And I think as we go into the coming weeks and we go through one more iteration, I think it'd be a great idea if we actually published that to the marketplace and community, so everyone's got a good view and a vision of where we're taking Cardano this year. Behind all that, I think it's worthwhile just talking about some of our major upgrades this year. We changed it this year, and we've changed it on purpose. So before we rolled out major upgrades and releases, hard forks and things like this as soon as they were ready. This time, we've decided to do it at certain fixed dates. So why have we done that? Well, the reason why we're doing that is we now recognise we're in a much bigger community with a lot more people connected to us that need some time and the ability to understand when different things are happening, so they get the chance to prepare and make sure that they're integrating at the right times and ready for launch. As you well know, we've got over 100 exchanges that have to follow our upgrade cycle, as well as hundreds and hundreds of SPOs. So we changed it this year and we said, okay, well, what if we give fixed release dates, what would this look like? And we decided to pick on February, June and October. And those dates are fixed so that each of our major partners that supports the network knows when actually they're going to have to do a major update. They can configure their technology and configure their resources to be able to support it. It's much easier to be able to manage around. In order to do this, it means then that we have a flight slot pattern across our different deliveries, where we've got 3 different runway slots where people have to be able to get their code ready to be submitted into those slots and be ready. We've picked, as we've talked about, February, June and October. In February, it won't be a hard fork, but it will be a major release. It's about more working towards our efficiency, performance and optimization. It's also given us the underlying elements of Plutus that we need to be able to provide the SIPs for script optimization. And this is we're going to get there within February. And then we hit June, we have a significant increase when it comes to both the pipelining work and also the Plutus script optimization work. Inside that June hard fork is also going to be our initial release of Hydra, where there's going to be a lot more releases down the line as we actually prepare that piece of technology. The initial release of Hydra is going to enable us to actually understand the efficiencies that we get and the different transaction types that we get around Hydra, and to be testing it out on our mainnet as we hit June. But likewise, as we then develop the technology, we'll be looking for subsequent releases and follow releases as the year goes on. October, less well defined as yet, and we will definitely be preparing and publishing more material as we get through. But hopefully that gives you a good flavour of what's going to be happening this year.
Thank you, Nigel, for that. John, let's finish off with you. We've got more dApps coming down the pipeline. 100% being the new normal, what does it mean for the launch of those applications?
It's a great question. Let me put it this way. I want to see the network at 100% utilization the entire time. That means we're getting the maximum bang for the buck out of the implementation that we currently have running in mainnet. So any blocks that have space in them that's not being used, that's not good. We want to see users use Cardano. We want to see Cardano being used to its maximum potential. Okay, that's my kind of starting point. But I will say we're seeing growth in the Cardano ecosystem and on the applications that are running on the network that is hard to keep up with in terms of performance increases. But we're doing it. We've already had 3 bumps to the layer 1 throughput, the most recent of which being on Tuesday this week. But we're not stopping there. And in fact, given the release of 1.33, just to echo the comments that Kevin made on this program and on previous discussions, we now have the headroom to start making more regular cadence in terms of our parameter bumps. And we're going to be increasing layer 1, not only in block size, not only in Plutus resource limits, but also in the efficiency of the node, and also in rolling out things like input endorsers, Laos, which is our next generation consensus mechanism, which is an iteration of Ouroboros, and indeed pipelining. So we have a plan that we're going to be enacting this year, and we feel not only will it allow Cardano Layer 1 to grow as the excitement and adoption grows, but also we're confident that we'll be able to outpace the growth of demand with the growth of our performance.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Emurgo are one of Cardano's 3 founding entities. Educators, creators of Yoroi Wallet, and now venture investors in Africa. Eric caught up with Keisha.
Today I'm joined by Keisha Dwyer, the marketing manager for Emurgo, and she's going to give us an update on some of their recent progress and goals to the future. Welcome to the show, Keisha.
Thank you. Nice to talk.
Let's begin at the beginning. Emurgo was there at the very outset in the inception of the Cardano blockchain, and everybody knows it from the Yoroi wallet. With that being said, what's going on with Yoroi right now?
To really talk about Yoroi, let's just talk about what's happening on Cardano. So Cardano has seen remarkable growth in recent months, and with the high increase in transaction volume, coupled with what we expect in terms of like future growth, we are focused on continuously improving and stabilizing Yoroi wallet as we grow with Cardano. So Yoroi releases frequent back-end improvements that aim to address the synchronization issues our users are facing. Sometimes resolving these network congestion issues takes us a little bit longer than we would like, but we want our community to know that Yoroi developers are continuously working to securely optimize Yoroi Wallet's infrastructure and expand our server capacity. So we thank the community for their incredible feedback and patience as we carefully manage that high peak load during these exciting times.
So obviously we're dealing with a lot of growth in the Cardano ecosystem right now. More growth means more wallets. So how does Yoroi keep leading the way?
As a founding entity, it's inherent in our role to lead and support the ecosystem. So we always put the community first. We are listening to their feedback. We continue to iterate Yoroi based on the community's interests. We also voluntarily provide resources to support open source projects which benefit the community. Our Cardano serialization library is a good example of an Emurgo-led open source project, and the library there plays a big role for other wallets and dApps to build on Cardano. Plus, Emurgo is always seeking new ways to lead the ecosystem. The Cardano improvement proposals represent an area where we believe we can bring our expertise to help shape the Cardano standards for other projects building on Cardano.
So on Cardano, obviously there's a huge focus on the community, and we've recently heard that there's going to be a collaboration between Emurgo and the developer community. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure, it's actually something we're really excited about. Emurgo, in partnership with the Cardano Foundation, has launched a new project to develop a community-driven dApp tool stack for Cardano. And our goal there is to enable developers to easily deploy smart contracts on Cardano. What devs can expect is a modular tool stack with clear documentation and programming guidelines. And with that dApp tool stack, the folks building on Cardano will be able to connect without a full node, enabling faster and more flexible integration to support dApps and wallets. But I do want to talk about having the dApp tool stack be like open source allows for a variety of applications to be built by third parties and increases the diversity of options available for developers to build solutions. So we believe that this will lead to an increase in the overall speed to market and adoption of Cardano.
Now, obviously, there's a ton of stuff happening around NFTs right now, but we've heard that Emurgo is about to jump in the space as well. Can you give us a sneak peek at what you guys are up to?
So we were seeing the incredible amount of interest, and we were keen on supporting this thriving C NFT space, as they like to say. And we're proud to announce that the launch of our NFT marketplace, Fiberit, will be happening early 2022. So Fiberit will provide a way to connect socially conscious artists with buyers and sellers within the Cardano ecosystem. It's developed by Emurgo for Cardano, and we're utilizing ADA for transactions such as minting, buying, and selling. The pre-launch buzz has already been exciting. We've been named a top 5 NFT platform to watch for 2022 by Grit Daily. And we've also received coverage from prominent media publications such as Crypto Slate. But right now, we are calling on Cardano talent to get in touch with us to be a part of our highly anticipated launch. So if you are a Cardano artist or musician interested in selling your work as an NFT and share our beliefs that technology should have a positive social impact, get in contact with us at fiberit.io. We have a team that will assist creators with putting together their collection and best practices for promotion to really guide those going through the process for the first time.
So this is kind of for my own personal edification, but what do you actually mean when you're talking about social impact? Is this a pretty broad scope, or what kind of artists are you looking to support here?
What we mean by trying to connect socially conscious artists is I really believe that we are being aligned with Cardano principles. So for example, Cardano Foundation just had a really impactful initiative of planting 1 million trees. And on our side, for instance, we are talking with an artist from Iran. She's a female graffiti artist. And I mean, just in terms of groundbreaking and breaking all the rules, we find that to be that type of compelling narrative.
Yeah, so let's talk about Africa. At the summit, Emurgo announced that it would have a $100 million fund that was focused on Africa. So what's happening with that initiative at this moment?
We've had an incredible amount of interest for our Africa initiative, and we've assessed numerous companies, and we have a lot more in the pipeline. It's a bit early, but what I can say is that there are 2 projects that have been carefully vetted and should complete Emurgo's investment process. We'll syndicate a news release about this at the appropriate time. So, we say stay tuned on that front. Also, Emurgo's education unit, Emurgo Academy, has launched a new Cardano entrepreneur program for our Emurgo Africa partner, Adanian Labs. And Adanian Labs is an African tech incubator for startups building on Cardano. There are 3 Adanian Labs portfolio companies taking the program with the goal of incorporating Cardano blockchain to their applications.
So everybody, stay tuned to Emurgo. All of their social channels are listed below, and you can see what they are up to next. Keisha Dwyer, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have any parting thoughts for our audience before you go?
Thank you for having me. With these updates, developments, and our investments, we truly look forward to Cardano on 2022 and for our contributions to the ecosystem. Thanks for having me.
With a commitment to interoperability and building bridges, both literal and metaphorical, dcSpark are fast emerging as one of the more significant contributors to the Cardano ecosystem. We caught up with Nico and Seba and new CMO Carolina Rossi to hear more about FlintWallet, Milkomeda sidechain, and more.
dcSpark is focused on building critical products and solutions for leading blockchains, and that's why they've decided to work with Plutus and the larger Cardano ecosystem. Today, we're joined by 3 of their global team. And, why don't we start by having you guys go around, tell us who you are and what you do with dcSpark.
Sure. Hola. So my name is Nicolas Arquerosand. I'm one of the co-founders and also the CEO of dcSpark.
Hello, my name is Sebastien, often called Seba, and I'm the CTO of dcSpark.
Hello, my name is Caro Rossi, and I am the CMO of dcSpark.
So, Carol, let's begin with you. Can you give us a high-level impression of what the mission of dcSpark actually is?
So we're, of course, a crypto building company. That means that we are developing different products for the crypto ecosystem globally. So if you ask me about the mission, I think that the mission until now is always trying to have curiosity in ways of understanding the best way that we can solve technical projects in a very high level. And I think that it's great to have Nico and Seba here because they will explain it better, but also with a global mindset and global perspective. I mean, we're solving global problems, or I would say not problems, global challenges. And to solve global challenges, you need today people from all over the world with different kind of views and thinking. We're looking for diversity in all sense. Then we can have new ways of solving something in the fastest and most, I think, correct way form. And also, we're a remote company. So we have people talking today. We are actually in 3 different continents at this precise moment having this talk. And we have people working from all over the world. So I don't know, Seba I know is in Tokyo. So Nico now is at this precise moment, he's in Europe. I'm in Latin America. But we're always like moving from one place to another and finding the best ways that we can solve something.
So, speaking of the best way to solve big problems, what led you guys to working with Plutus and the Cardano ecosystem more broadly?
So as people probably know, me and Nico have been involved in the Cardano ecosystem for many years now. We were involved all the way back when, Emurgo was really kind of getting on the scene, and we were leading the team there, along with another one of our co-founders, Robert Kornacki, who's not here today. And we really felt like we could take the expertise we have to the next step and contribute more to the Cardano and crypto ecosystem by starting our own company, which has become dcSpark. And we want to not just build great products for Cardano, but build great products for the crypto ecosystem. Because we believe, a lot of times people are kind of too focused on their individual projects. And we really believe in building bridges and advancing as an ecosystem. As part of that, we obviously work on Cardano a lot, but in the past, we've, tried working with Ergo during our time at Emurgo. And people at the time were kind of skeptical of building bridges because Cardano never really had, that many connections to other communities. But over time, a lot of people in the Cardano ecosystem grew to learn more about Ergo. A lot of people, started getting involved in the ecosystem too. And there's been a lot of, really positive, cross-pollination. And we believe that we at dcSpark can kind of take that to the next step So our products that are working on dcSpark will be obviously launching on Cardano, and we're dedicated very much to growing the Cardano ecosystem. But also we're trying to connect to other ecosystems and bring them into the journey with us to kind of move the crypto ecosystem forward as a whole.
So dcSpark is working with a couple of different ecosystems. This includes Solana. It also includes Urbit. Nico, this one's for you. So what led you guys to have this sort of cross-chain philosophy of development?
So in the crypto world, usually there is this word that you always hear people saying, which is trade-off. So you cannot be the best in everything. You need to specialize in being really good at something. For example, Cardano is looking to be very, very decentralized and is doing a great job. But other ecosystems are pushing for different trade-off. And this actually is something that also Charles has said multiple times. And if you guys remember, there is this whiteboard from Charles when he talks about scalability, interoperability, and sustainability. So we going multi-chain, it goes also in hand by hand by interoperability. And one of the good things for the entire ecosystem of Cardano is that everything that we are doing in other ecosystem is going to be able to connect with Cardano. So this is going to be really good, because if you think of different ecosystems like blockchain as countries, you want to be a country that's interconnected with other countries. So maybe you can export and import some services. And this is something really interesting that maybe there are some specific things going on. For example, in Terra, they have a stablecoin called USD that actually seems like they're exporting it for other blockchains. And by other blockchains using it, is making Terra stronger. So I think Cardano has a lot to bring off, especially with everything related to this scientific approach. So I think interoperability plays really well with Cardano, and also with our curiosity that we always like to understand different ecosystems and different approaches to do stuff.
So you're trying to get the best from many ecosystems to work together with dcSpark products. With that being said, what are some of the products that we can expect to see from you in the near future?
Yeah, I can talk about that. So the first product we plan to release kind of fully to the public is called Flint. And Flint is a wallet for Cardano. And the reason we're building Flint is kind of two reasons. One is because, as we talked about, we're really interested in interoperability. We really want to bridge to other ecosystems and technologies that they have and bring them to the Cardano ecosystem and bring our stack to them. And the easiest way to do that was to have a wallet that will work well with these other ways of operating blockchains. For example, one of the other projects we're going to be working on, which Nico will talk about later, is Milkomeda. And he'll explain how all that ties into our interoperability vision. And to really bring that to the masses, Flint will play a key role. But at the same time, as we do this, one of our core philosophies in dcSpark is really building, the crypto ecosystem. And that means that we contribute a lot of open source code, and we plan to continue to contribute a lot of open source code. And so Flint is a wallet for Cardano, but it's not just a wallet. It also encompasses all the open source work that we're doing, which is also being reused by many other projects, other wallets, exchanges, dApps, and so on. For example, dcSpark is probably the top contributor to the Rust SDK that's being used currently by basically every dApp in Cardano. It's being used by basically every wallet in Cardano, and we're building that open source. And we have other projects and libraries that we're currently working on that either are open source already or are planning to be open source. And we also write a lot of Cardano improvement proposals. And actually, I'm on the committee for Cardano improvement proposals as well. So I help other people get the proposals merged. And so Flint not only represents, a product that helps us with our interoperability vision, but also, it's kind of the encapsulation of all this huge amount of open source work we're doing to the Cardano ecosystem. And it's helping us, have a clear vision on what the Cardano ecosystem needs next and how we can, prioritize getting that solved, not just for our product, but also for every other, company out there who wants to build on Cardano as well.
So you're not only building products, but you're also building out the ecosystem for developers as well. Very cool. Now, Nico, I heard you mention it one time before, but maybe you can give us a little bit of insight about Milkomeda.
Something that we have here is that even from Charles, that Cardano is not just for one specific virtual machine with Plutus, but also the idea is to bring different virtual machines. And there is work with the KVM, with Ayala, and even this other project called Moon, which is implementing another programming language. So the idea of Cardano is to be able to actually be open, bring like different profiles of different people to the ecosystem. And this is something that we're trying to achieve with Milkomeda. So Milkomeda is going to be bringing EVM capabilities for Cardano, which is like pretty good because a lot of the projects that are already working well in other ecosystems could come to Cardano. So we don't need to reinvent the wheel. And Plutus developers or people that are like understanding how to do things in the Cardano approach, they can focus in bringing new key innovation. That's like something unique, not only for Cardano, but also for other blockchains. So we hope that with Milkomeda, we can bring like a lot of adoption and speed up the integration of like different tools, different projects into the Cardano ecosystem, and also support ADA. And this is pretty cool because unlike other projects with Milkomeda, we are not using a new token. We are using ADA as the base currency. So when you move from Cardano to Milkomeda using Flint, you're going to be using wrapped ADA to pay for fees, to use different dApps. So that way, Milkomeda is trying to be part of the Cardano ecosystem and it's going to feel like an extension rather than another different project.
So let's talk a little bit about extending the ecosystem. Now, I know you guys are working with many different organizations, including groups like Urbit, but how does this all connect back to Cardano?
Different approaches are pretty good for like different purposes. And blockchain is not that great, in my opinion, for everything that's related to decentralized identities. And decentralized identity is something critical to be able to push for usage in the blockchain. So blockchains need decentralized identities, but they're not the best ones to create decentralized identities. Orbit is this project that's a decentralized peer-to-peer network that actually has all the capabilities and all the tooling to implement identity. So the work that we are doing in Orbit is pretty cool because we are also helping that ecosystem. And as previously I commented, the idea is to start like connecting different ecosystems so Cardano can benefit from some of the cool innovations from Orbit, and also Orbit can benefit from some of the key innovations from Cardano. So this is a little bit what we're trying to do, understand different ecosystem and be able to connect. So what specific projects are really good too, they can support other projects, and it could be like sort of language change, and we can have more of like a friendly approach between different cool technologies.
So obviously you have a lot going on right now, but maybe you can give us an idea of what to expect from you guys in the next 5 years or so?
What we're trying to achieve in the next 5 years is that Milkomeda is going to evolve to be like a protocol that can extend blockchain capabilities. Not only EVM can be added, but other like futuristic or other technologies that are going to be created in the future. So we are going to be able to extend the capabilities of different blockchains. The same way that the internet can be built with different programming languages, we want to be able to stick all these different programming languages and capabilities for different blockchains. And at the same time, through Flint, we want to be like the interface to connecting normal people that don't have that much like technical knowledge to be able to use all these different projects, different things without having to complicate it. Because when we are talking about second layer solutions, moving the assets here and there, it's difficult, it's complicated. And if we want to actually be there for like the normal person that maybe they're going to start using crypto for some stuff that previously they use fiat or they use like the App Store in iOS or Google Play, we actually need to have a way better UI and UX. And the idea is that Flint is going to be this top layer UI that's going to make it extremely simple, crystal clear for any person to be able to use crypto without even sometimes realizing that they are using crypto. So they wouldn't need to know any like technical concept.
We recognize ourselves as crypto ecosystem builders, and the ecosystem does not happen without a community. So one of the step-by-step process that we're doing is really understanding our community. In this case, the Cardano community for us is fundamental and of high value because the founders are very related, of course, to the Cardano community, but also that community have given us insight and information that help us generate the product better. So how do we do it? I think even though it's a challenge, part of building a strong ecosystem can by generating alliances and network and listening to whoever is actually using our product. So I think it comes a lot with listening, conversation, building strong networks, and also becoming this connector, which is valuable for them and also for us.
So with that being said, how do people get involved with dcSpark, or how do they connect with you guys?
dcSpark has a lot of reach in many places. We're involved with improvement proposals on Cardano. We're involved in a lot of open source work. We have participation in a lot of Twitter spaces, Telegram, all those groups. But we also have our own communities. So you can follow us on the dcSpark Twitter. You can join the dcSpark Discord. And we try and be kind of omnipresent. And so you can usually find us, wherever fits you best, whether be you a developer or just somebody who wants to be involved in the ecosystem.
Okay, so for all of our viewers, the channels will be tagged below, so make sure to go and check out the show notes. dcSpark, thank you so much for joining us, and we're looking forward to hearing more about what you're up to in the near future.
So Matt has been out on his regular mission, meeting just some of the projects building on Cardano. Let's head over now and hear more.
So I've been continuing my journey this month, talking to some of the many projects building on Cardano, so that you, the community, can also find out more. Recently, I spoke with Cardashift, Empowa, Muesliswap, DripDrops, and NFTmaker. So let's jump right in.
Cardashift is a community-run launchpad that raises funds, builds and accelerates startups that are solving social as well as environmental issues. And to put it in very understandable terms, think of it as Kickstarter plus Y Combinator put together.
So Matters is the first company. It's a product and startup studio that basically helps new businesses to succeed and scale. So they've supported more than 150 companies, startups over the last 14 years. We also have Steam, which is a spin-off from a very renowned engineering school in France. And the third company is Smart Chain, which is a blockchain engineering company. We've been working on proof of stake blockchain for the past 2 or 3 years.
DripDrop's mission statement is: we are a Cardano token dispensing service. We offer an intuitive platform for token issuers to distribute their token. So whether it be a meme token, a utility token, whatever, we allow the user to come to the platform and withdraw the tokens of their choice and cover the UTXO along with the processing fee.
The mission of Empowa is to provide a solution to the housing challenge in Africa through the provision of decentralized finance. The challenge for us is to find new ways and mechanisms and new technologies to address this seemingly insurmountable problem. And that's our mission, is to overcome that.
We are a decentralized exchange on the Cardano network. So Muesliswap is a place where people can meet to trade tokens. What is different from other decentralized exchanges you see on the Cardano blockchain is that we are based on the order book model. That means that people are able to place limit orders. They can follow the orders in the order book and get a better or deeper view of the current market and whether the price is going to increase or decrease.
NFTmaker in a nutshell is a minting tool built on Cardano, and we have a pro solution, so artists and normal people can come to our platform and upload their assets to NFTmaker, and we mint on demand NFTs so that people can take our API, implement it in the website, and start selling through our payment gateway.
What advantages does building on Cardano offer your project? Why in particular is it on Cardano?
Well, there's 3 reasons. One is that we see a huge value alignment in terms of what we're trying to build, as well as what Cardano's vision is. So I think a lot of it is driven towards creating impact, but also enabling more people access to these technologies and allowing them to participate in creating impact. That's one. 2 is there is also an alignment in terms of the kind of projects. So if you look at Cardano Africa, I mean, it's a huge market for us because it's also, there is the French speaking part of Africa, and, being a company that's based in France, we have a lot of access to do projects with them. So there is a huge French community here that wants to be part of Cardano, and we really see ourselves at that bridge trying to enable that to happen. And 3, I think we're building on Cardano like it's the future for impact, and we strongly believe in the vision that Cardano has for the future, right? So those are the 3 main reasons on, why we're developing on Cardano and what we see happening with this relationship going forward.
The advantages of building on Cardano for us are it's pretty distinct how we work in enabling offsetting the cost for projects. What that translates to users is users are able to pull numerous assets for a very, very low relative end cost as that would cost them on other chains. You know, the technology and the core principles of science and how the ecosystem plans to scale. All the components are there for us that make it a sound system. We want to build a legitimate business, and Cardano is the appropriate foundation upon which to do that.
I don't think we could really emphasize enough how important the extended UTXO model is to what we're doing. You know, for ages in the crypto space in general, TPS, transactions per second, has always been a source of contention, and everybody's got to have the best TPS. And this really does prove that TPS is not the end-all, be-all. It's really kind of a blind metric. How many transactions per second is irrelevant when you consider we have all these inputs and we're sending out all these outputs and we're handling 3 customers at one time. So it's just the sheer volume of what we can actually transmit on the chain is pretty phenomenal.
Empowa chose the Cardano blockchain for a number of reasons. This first really being the environmental aspect. If we're going to build 50 million homes, which is our end goal, we have to make sure that we support the environmental aspect of that. So we have to practice what we preach. We were also attracted to the academic rigor because ours is a financial system. So we have to be strict in the management of that. And the third element for us was the really exciting community that came with it. The huge bonus was the African focus for the community.
One of the big advantages of the Cardano network is that it's based on the UTXO model, and it has very rigid research done in how to use that. And we figured that with this very elegant approach to transactions, we can develop this decentralized exchange on the order book model in a very suitable fashion. There's also a great community, which we were astonished by how awesome like the feedback from community members was. Yeah, that drew us to Cardano. Like we want to enrich this ecosystem.
I think building on Cardano is very different from building on any other blockchain. There are many differences in the way that the protocol is structured on a very fundamental level, and I think that it's in some parts it's a lot more difficult. But the whole decision to go with this bulletproof system of peer reviewing every single thing that Cardano is doing makes it very easy for us to build solutions which are actually secure and build smart contracts which are actually secure.
So how is it going? And what stage are you guys at now?
So basically our roadmap started 6 months ago in September of 2021. We went through a period of a private sale for which we managed to raise 1.5 million. And post that kind of momentum, we really focused on building a community. So we've managed to do that on Discord, where we have grown into 6 times in a period of 3 weeks, followed by a 6K following on Twitter. What we expect to do in the Q1 of 2022 is actually release a Launchpad beta version for crypto enthusiasts with the option of being able to stake for the projects that they support, as well as they'll be allowed to score these projects. The reason that we're having this Launchpad come out is because we've seen a lot of interest from impact projects and change makers to want to be part of Cardashift. And I know that I'm not allowed to publicly say the names of these projects, but they will be announced soon. So keep updated on our socials for that.
So it's going pretty well. We launched roughly 14 days ago, and already we've seen 60,000 withdrawals. And, it's amazing. People are coming to Cardano every epoch just to see that, there's another type of reward that they can withdraw. And we had an unusual effect on the Cardano ecosystem in a way. People are actually taking their funds out of the exchanges and then putting it into staking. And we know this because there's been a lot of support requests saying, hey, why can't I get any rewards? I don't see anything. And we have to explain to them and educate them. Did you just start staking? Because I can see that. That's probably why you're not getting any rewards, which is fun to see that we're actually having a direct impact on the users.
So for us, because it's a real FI project, we had 2 real challenges. One, we had to prove to the crypto community that we could deliver on the ground. And we also had to demonstrate to the developers and to the people on the ground, to the traditional players, that the crypto community is not just a bunch of, money launderers and drug dealers, and actually that there's a very real use case for this kind of technology, and it presents a very real opportunity. So in order to do that, we actually applied to Catalyst for funding to demonstrate that, which we successfully did. And we delivered 4 houses in under 5 months through Project Catalyst, utilizing the new tech, etc. So we're really excited around that, and to demonstrate kind of how much quicker we can move and how much more effective things can be. So right now we're in the fundraising stage so that we can start the platform development. We know it's a long road to go, and we're just taking those first baby steps to get the process going and to get the next stage of the project underway.
Muesliswap launched back in November 2021, and since then we managed to gather a big community around our product. We have more than 15,000 unique traders already on our platform. And based on the tremendous feedback we got and feature requests, we managed to build another version of our smart contracts, Muesliswap V2. And we are very proud that we partnered with MLabs, where the audit is currently ongoing, and hope that we can launch it in end of January 2021. And one of the true benefits of Muesliswap is that we are a truly decentralized exchange. So the orders can be matched by any matchmaker, which is different to other approaches.
So NFTmaker was successful last year, but in January now it's exploding. So we have more signups than ever, more people than ever are using our Pro tool, and we are really diving into the next stage of NFTs. We are convinced that we will have those 10K randomized drops, but we think that a lot of those artists and people who signed up now will bring additional value to Cardano, especially the fine art will be a massive success, and we can't wait to get started.
So to launch and to find staying power are 2 different things. So post-launch, what are some crucial milestones on the path to becoming an established part of the ecosystem?
To become established on the ecosystem, we have mainly 2 sides of our roadmap. The first side is our product roadmap, so basically the launch of our launchpad, which will be in Q1 2022, with the first projects on it. Cardashift was born with the coalition of 3 companies which have complementary skills. So how can we create the good ecosystem around us with the Cardano community, with the people on the ground, because we're already working in Western Africa and South America, and we're not on the ground yet because the 3 companies are mainly in France, but our partners are there, and we need to find the right partners to be able to score the project, basically identify the right projects and the right entrepreneurs, score the project, assess everything, and be able to support the projects also locally. And we've been already having a lot of talks in several countries as to how we can provide our technology and our infrastructure. It's mainly the biggest part of it because as we are accelerating the process, the project, we need to be able to accelerate more than 2 or 3 projects every quarter, which will be the case at first.
Our first milestone, where we've been spending most of our time, is establishing a legal operational framework that will enable DripDrops to compete on a global scale. And so that's number 1. And we're moving very fast. Projects are going to have to enable incentives for their users in some way, shape, or form. You're going to want to issue your users some sort of a reward or achievement. You're going to want to know what their progress is. We're going to enable you an API where you can do that, so then you don't even have to worry about token distribution. You just focus on your project, and DripDrops will enable the tools for you to incentivize your users to make your products more compelling.
We didn't want to be the gatekeepers of which project gets onboarded and which gets booted off. So we wanted to create a token that is very well distributed to the community, and it could be used to actually govern the platform. And what people don't realize is that we might be the only, if not the first, to actually create a token that is 100% distributed to the community. And it was designed that way so that we will have no say in the platform, hopefully working towards the DAO route. And we're working with some of the smartest minds in the industry, trying to figure out what is the right way to do it.
Coming from the housing space and real world development, we know it's a long-term process. So absolutely, we're used to it. So for us, that's really part of that process, to ensure that we are able to deliver on the ground. So in Q1, obviously the first one is the token sale. So in terms of the fundraise, and then also the NFT sale. So it's to then expand the number of houses that we can deliver. So to demonstrate that. And then by Q3, the objective is to have the MVP, which is then the financial flow. So that's to have the value flow, as well as, so we will then have the necessary tokens and infrastructure in place to do the MVP by Q3. So that's a key milestone for us.
Soon after our launch, we were astonished that we have a really fast increasing user base, and we soon landed being on the top position of the most used smart contract on the whole blockchain. Our philosophy for this is to stick to what we did, which is deliver. We were rolling out the version 2 of our smart contract, which will improve the liquidity and which will just overall improve the experience of using our order book DEX. And we are going to increase the community engagement and the decentralization of our project with a launchpad and staking and governance features.
So what we're trying to do is really to professionalize and grow the system and grow the team to build something of a larger scale and really go from a solo dev project to a real company, which then can deliver on really large projects. And, you know, around that, there are so many things to do. You have to grow in a community. You have to basically educate people about your system and your tools and what you're actually contributing to Cardano. So I think these are really the milestones that we're tackling right now.
How do you see your product's niche developing on Cardano over the next few years and into the longer term? And what problems do you feel uniquely able to address?
We would like to set a standard for how tokens get distributed. We want to make handling your tokens as easy as possible. Just let us know who they need to go to and or where they need to go, and we can do that with accuracy and precision.
Some really cool new features that are coming. So right now you can stake your ADA to a pool and get rewarded in ADA. Where we're going in the future is maybe you have an NFT project that has an NFT. You can stake it to a pool that's associated with that NFT project and then receive some of their fungible token in response for that staking. So we're kind of expanding the whole concept of staking on Cardano.
Yeah, I think we're uniquely positioned to facilitate a huge reduction in friction for projects that are coming from other chains. We can greatly reduce, that stress and friction for those projects so they can focus on the things that they're trying to build, and DripDrops can handle that distribution aspect of that project for them.
So the niche that we're addressing is very specific, actually, because there are a lot of DeFi players, there are a lot of generic kind of platforms, and we're specifically focused on the longer term aspect of DeFi and enabling the liquidity within that longer term view, if you like, because housing is different to other kinds of financing. So that's very much our niche focus. So another niche is to really have the relationships on the ground, to know and understand that, so that we can start just like Cardano has developed, where it started off with managing and controlling the process and then gradually decentralizing. We have the same objectives. And so really for us, it's around building that out in terms of relationships with not just other crypto players, but also traditional financiers, traditional funders, DFIs who've played in this space.
Muesliswap is in the core business of being a decentralized exchange, and I think the need for people to meet and to swap things has been there for centuries, and it will also continue in the future. And that's why I think that the DeFi space, or the space for DEXs in general on the Cardano blockchain, is only going to grow. And we hope that Muesliswap can be an integral part of this. So just being the place for people to come and to swap these tokens.
I think the niche of NFTmaker will be NFTs and closing this gap between people outside of the community and the technology. So I think this will be our niche and this will be our main goal. So what we try at NFTmaker, what we try to do is we try to close this gap by educating people and by explaining to them what kind of blockchain Cardano is, a green blockchain. In addition to that, how NFTs could work in the future. So imagine something like ticketing or something like bringing fine art to the blockchain. Those are things already happening.
We're not only building, a minting tool, but we're also building a whole ecosystem around the minting and around the NFTs. And we have plans to basically expand this ecosystem, all building upon our foundation of NFTmaker Pro. And it's really important for us to make the whole user experience as easy as possible.
I want to thank all the projects for their time today and for coming on the show to share their vision and mission with the community. It was great to speak with you all.
So that's about it now for January. Remember, you'll find links to many of the people and the projects we've covered today down in the show notes below. Also, make sure you check out the blog where you can read more about Cardano's plan for scaling in 2022, how we're improving the developer experience, and if you're new to DeFi, there's a piece there which should help demystify things a little. And remember, you can always find the latest on development in our weekly development updates, from decentralization, peer-to-peer, to networking and Adrestia. Follow us on Twitter and those will land every Friday. That's it for this month. We'll see you at the February mid-month update.